What happens when a story about abuse isn't just a story anymore? When someone right now is living through the same pain, same silence, and same fear? What if the cycle of hurt and neglect you see on screen is the very reality someone wakes up to every day? How would you as a viewer respond? How unsettling would it be to choose sides where there's no clear-cut heroes or villains? Only people broken by broken systems. To look beyond the screen and face the real-world implications can be deeply unsettling. When a story shines light on the raw reality of abuse, we can no longer distance ourselves from its complexity and moral ambiguity. This isn't about choosing sides anymore. It's about confronting the harrowing truth and recognizing our collective responsibility in perpetuating these cycles of harm. This is Takopi's original sin. Marina's character is first presented as an abuser, displaying violent, almost unforgivable abuse towards her classmate Shizuka. It's easy to judge her harshly until we see her home life. Her mom both abuses and shows distorted affection, teaching Marina that love and abuse are intertwined. In her household, power dynamics are clear and rigid. Her father emotionally abuses her mom, establishing infidelity and financial control as norms. Her mother, unable to confront her husband, takes out her pent-up anger on Marina, teaching her that powerlessness against the strong leads to taking it out on the weak, and that it's normal to perpetuate that. Marina targets Shizuka to channel this learned behavior, blaming her for her mother's closeness to Marina's father. Bullying Shizuka gives Marina a false sense of control over her chaotic home life. The cruelty is a form of projection, serving as a temporary escape for her helplessness. Even in the timeline where Marina meets Takopi, her learned behavior persists. She abuses Takopi not out of malice, but rather out of her misguided understanding of care. It's habitual and automatic. Marina is far from being a perfect abuser. Not that there's such a thing. She can't be liked, yet hating her becomes a difficult choice once we see the context of her upbringing. While her actions are not excused, her character is explained, offering insight into the complexity of abusive behaviors. Shizuka's life is deeply influenced by neglect. At home, her mother shows no genuine concern for her well-being, which teaches Shizuka that apathy is normal in both experiencing and inflicting onto others. Shizuka learns to view relationships as transactional from her mother's behavior, seeing people only for their utility rather than the emotional connections. This is reflected in her relationship with Azuma. She seeks out his help when needed but remains loyal only when it serves her interests, even going as far as to ask him to take the blame for Marina's death. And at school, facing relentless bullying further shapes Shizuka's worldview. No one interferes, teaching her that violence is an inescapable part of life. This can be seen in Shizuka after her realization of her dog's death and Takopi's failure to help. Shizuka begins abusing Takopi, mirroring Marina's abusive behavior towards her. Shizuka's emotional detachment intensifies when her father disowns her. Without hesitation, she contemplates killing him or anyone hindering her search for Chapi. To Shizuka, violence isn't just a conscious moral decision, it's a conditioned reflex. This anime's portrayal challenges the traditional notions of an abusive turning point. Shizuka's cruelty isn't a sudden choice. It's a culmination of a series of learned behaviors and conditioning that has stripped kindness away from her understanding. How can someone who's never experienced love show love? If empathy was never even shown, how can one learn to empathize? Like Marina, Shizuka is a product of her environment. Not a perfect victim, but not a perfect villain. Both grew up in homes where harm, whether physical or emotional, is normal. Both internalize and then project this harm. The form differs. Marina's abuse is physical and controlling. Shizuka is manipulative and detached, but the root cause is the same: a childhood devoid of safety, stability, and genuine love. Neither is wholly innocent nor guilty. Their identities are inextricably linked to the conditions which they are raised in. While the parents of these girls are definitely at fault for being abusers in their own right, the failure extends beyond individual families. Shizuka's neglect and bullying are obvious yet ignored. Visible injuries go unaddressed by teachers, counselors, and classmates. Their silence deepens her harm. In contrast, Azuma's tragedy changes thanks to one stable and supportive relationship. his older brother. This shows that even a single relatable connection can alter the course of a person's life. There's a systemic failure for these girls that's beyond just their direct families. It's also a failure of their environment outside. Systemic failures teach these children from abusive homes that suffering is invisible. This erodes trust in laws, morals, and institutions, the systems that are set in place to protect them. This can be seen when Marina kills her mother or Shizuka's psychopathic tendencies towards everyone around her. For them, morality is a tool of punishment, not protection, leading to deep antisocial behaviors. So this creates a question in my mind that begs to be answered. How different are we, the audience, from the systems that fail them if we only see them as characters to root for or against? One of the most unsettling aspects of Takopi's original sin is not the story, but the audience's reaction to it. Many viewers are trying to pick a side, rooting for Marina or Shizuka depending on the timeline. When Shizuka is passive and pitiable, she earns sympathy, but when she becomes violent, she's instantly labeled as a monster. The reality, however, is that she hasn't fundamentally changed. Her sociopathic tendencies were evident from day one, and it can be seen from her lack of remorse, guilt, or plain fear when she saw Marina die. On the other hand, Marina, who is initially despised, gains sympathy upon the revelation of her home life. This raises the question, why does Marina's backstory soften her image while Shizuka's doesn't? Why does one person's pain provide context for their actions while others does not? This is where the audience has made the same mistake Takopi does, reducing people to neat categories and looking for a worthy victim. But abuse doesn't create tidy heroes and villains. Instead, it produces complicated individuals whose actions can be understandable and inexcusable at the same time. By transforming these kids' suffering into moral competition, we risk minimizing their experience, and in doing so, we become no different from the systems in the story that disregarded their pain due to inconvenience. Maybe the real reason Takopi doesn't give us a clean conclusion is because there isn't one. Maybe the real challenge is to sit with the discomfort of knowing there is no perfect way to divide blame and innocence.